This is Dr. Garth Fisher, and today on The Cutting Edge, we're joined by a man who redefines what it means to live without limits. Entrepreneur, best-selling author, and world record-breaking endurance athlete, Alvaro Nunez. Alvaro is a true first in history athlete business hybrid, a man who has conquered the planet's toughest physical and mental challenges while simultaneously building global ventures and inspiring millions across the world. He completed the Great World Race, which is running 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. He cycled over 3,000 miles solo across the United States in the world's toughest bicycle race. He's endured 6 marathons in 6 days across the Sahara Desert in the, Marathon des Sables, and finished the Ultraman World Championship, which is a 320-mile test of swimming, biking, and running, and more than double the Ironman distance. And he's still not tired. All the while, he's built a global brand empire, leading super luxury group, launching best-selling books, creating cinematic storytelling campaigns, and amassing over 5 million followers worldwide who look to him for leadership, endurance, and inspiration. Today, we'll explore this modern-day adventurer and high-performance strategist who pushes the human potential to its limits in sports, in business, and in life. Alvaro, welcome to our show.
Oh my God, what an introduction. I'm flattered. Thank you for having me here, Garth.
Well, I'm so happy to talk to you, and what you've done and what you do is so interesting to me, and you must be a marvel in medicine and health. Um, what an incredible story! What drives you to chase these challenges that most people would just think this is impossible?
I think that a lot of people might think I'm a masochist because I'm always doing things that seem so extreme. But the reality is that I'm always looking for exploring human potential. And yes, there's going to be some pain that come with it, but I think that pain is the entry fee for truly finding that self-discovery. And man, I gotta tell you, we have so much within ourselves that we are not even tapping. So once you start, you want to keep going.
Yes, and we all and the listeners, I'm sure, will want to learn how to do this. They're probably driving on the freeway, some of them, and on the radio show, and they want to get out of the car and just start running after they learn what you do. But what was the defining moment when you realized your purpose was to push beyond the limits of ordinary human endurance? When did that start?
There is a word that really changed the way that I was looking at life, and that's called misogi. It's a Japanese term that really emphasizes on a challenge that is going beyond your limits, beyond your fears, but that you know it's going to have a huge impact in your life. So I wanted to set up that misogi, and it was at that moment a transition in my life where I saw so many people going through depression. And in fact, a dear friend of mine committed suicide. So I wanted to attach that meaning and do something about that throughout the world's toughest foot race. And in this case is the Marathon des Sables. So I signed up to that race without any prior experience. And I was not only doing 6 marathons in 6 days across the Sahara Desert, while carrying all my food and supplies with me, but also I decided to carry a weight in my back. And that weight, it was the weight of depression that represented all the struggles and all that weight that so many people carry in silence. Because let's face it, we all know somebody that might be going through depression, but there is so many out there that we don't even know that are always with a smile. And you'll be surprised when I launched this campaign, hundreds of people started to reach out. And that's the moment that I saw that I had a purpose. And that why is what made me go from having no experience as a runner to completing the world's toughest foot race while overcoming, if I can say, some of the toughest challenges I've ever faced in my life.
I can totally understand that. That's a great story, and how symbolic having that weight in your backpack. And so when was this in the Sahara Desert? How long ago was this?
This was in 2023. And I gotta tell you, the whole point was to carry that weight and bury it in the sand once I crossed that finish line and leave all those struggles behind. And there were moments throughout that race where I was peeing blood by having kidney failure, bleeding on my shoulders and back from all the weight I was carrying, blisters on my feet where all of a sudden the entire skin came out. The all conditions were brutal, and I actually wanted to quit. I dropped my backpack and I was going to grab the satellite phone to call the helicopter to pick me up. because I could not continue. And it was in that moment when I was going to reach for the phone that I saw that weight and it clicked. That why clicked. And when you have a strong purpose, you'll find the how. And I gotta tell you, man, this is something that I carry now with me forever. Not the weight, because it's
No,
very
no, no.
heavy, but the whole idea on how you can attach your goals into a strong why that will unlock so many. I think that so many different tools that we no longer think that we have, but when we are really clear about that purpose, the how will follow.
Yes, that's true. So you've completed some of the toughest races on earth. I can't even think about seven marathon. I can't think of one marathon, but seven marathons, 7 days, seven continents. How do you mentally prepare before stepping into something this extreme? How do you mentally and physically prepare?
I guess it's about the consistency, right? Consistency compounds. You see a lot of people that accomplish something amazing and then they go back to where their foundation was. I feel like it's all about raising your standards. Once you raise your standards and you've accomplished a new level of routines and habits, how can you take that and leverage that to your next challenge? So I'm always with that mindset of ready mindset. Like I'm always ready for what's next. And I'm compounding on what I've been doing over the last year. So for this race in particular, I was already running. So I had that already as a great backdrop. But I
Right.
will say that 3 weeks before this race, I broke two ribs.
Oh,
And when I went to the doctors, they said, man, you cannot do this race. And I'm like, the logistics to organize something like that is not just physically and mentally how you prepare, but also logistically. So I was like, no, I'm doing this. And back to your question, it's all about visualization. Everything happens twice, first in your mind and then in reality. So I started to visualize myself running in Antarctica, crossing that finish line, then flying into Africa, crossing that finish line, then going to Australia and doing. So I started to visualize all these things and then it happened.
so I think visualizing and mindset is very important conditioning in your preparation process.
Absolutely. So
Absolutely.
important.
So, have you ever experienced fear or doubt and conditioning the process? And what do you do? How do you overcome that?
That's a great question. Life begins on the other side of fear. I've been doing so many extreme things throughout my life that I do think that when you have choices in front of you, always choose what you're afraid of, choose what you're uncomfortable, choose what's difficult, because that's the route of discomfort that is going to help you grow. So every time I'm skydiving, I've been skydiving for 8 years and I've been skydiving with the Red Bull team, world champions all around the world, out of helicopters, hot air balloons, you name it. And people often ask me, it's like, man, you're fearless. And I laugh is because I'm so afraid every time I'm doing these things, even more because I know the probability of something happening now is becoming bigger, right? Because I've been doing it for so long and thankfully with no injuries. Well, I dislocated my shoulder just recently with the Red Bull team, but nothing fatal. And I have that fear, but fear is what keeps you alive. Fear is what keeps you in check. Fear is what allows you to don't take things for granted. Because at the end of the day, when you think that you are invincible and you no longer look at things with fear, you're going to start taking for granted certain things. As a helicopter pilot, I was telling you, I was flying this morning. I went in an hour before I was supposed to fly just to go over absolutely everything because it was just a few weeks since I flew last. And I wanted to do the pre-flight check. I wanted to do everything. And I
Right.
was afraid. I was afraid of potentially having an accident if I don't do these things. But if I go like, oh, I got it, then I might just miss certain things and
No,
then you
I
crash.
agree. You have to be very compulsive like that and really look at all the details. This is Dr. Garth Fish for The Cutting Edge. I'm speaking with the world's greatest endurance athlete, Alvaro Nunez, and he's also built a really big luxury global brand. And just hearing seven marathons in 7 days and seven continents, that got me drawn in. And then I found out all this other stuff. And this morning you're flying helicopters. You biked. How long? It would be embarrassing and kind of insulting to tell you that you biked a mile. How long did you bike?
5 hours today.
5 hours. Okay, and yeah, I don't think you sleep, and for most of your day is probably either on a bicycle or running, right? I mean, to keep in this type of shape.
It's interesting. When I was training just a few months ago for Race Across America, that's the world's toughest bicycle race, 3,000 miles coast to coast from Oceanside, California to Atlantic City, New Jersey, with over 150,000 feet of elevation. That's like 5 times Everest. And you got to complete it under 12 days. So, as a big guy that I am, 6'3", 200 pounds, I'm not the fastest when it comes to climbing. So it took me probably an average of 23 hours per day on a bike, sleeping only 30 minutes, midday, 30 minutes, midnight. So imagine
For how many
total of
days?
12 days.
Oh, you'd have been good in the emergency room surgery call, not having to sleep for 12 days. No, but
Listen,
that's amazing.
not good, not good because eventually you start hallucinating. I lost over 30 pounds, crashed over 12 times. It was not pretty, let's put it that way. But again, when you have a strong purpose, and the reason I bring this up is because you have to do a lot of training for that up to this
Yeah,
race. So I was training for 10, 12 hours a day at least. And it's about multitasking because if that's your living, like I'm not a professional endurance athlete when it comes as a profession. Like I have different ventures that I'm focusing on and different things that I do. So this hobby, which is not even a hobby, it's a lifestyle, it becomes very extreme and sometimes you feel very unbalanced. And now that I'm not anymore doing that race, I keep on training because I have other races coming up, but the different effort is now put into other things. So that's how I see things. Like you said, oh, you don't sleep. I actually sleep 7 to 8 hours, or at least I try to, because it's one of those myths that people think that not doesn't matter. Like, oh, you don't sleep. No, I actually sleep. That's how I'm able to do these things.
yeah, you sleep when you sleep, and you work and drive and ride and run when you have to, when you do that. But
Exactly.
so, what, just curious, if you don't have to disclose, but any major injuries through all this? I would imagine your knees are, they have to be strong.
Yeah, yeah. Look, actually, I've been very lucky and very blessed that I have not had any major injuries. As you said at the beginning of this conversation, I think health is wealth. I've been very focused on doing the same amount that I do for training for recovery. So focusing on a lot of practicing that endures like stretching and sauna, cold plunge, and all biohacking tools, and obviously like nutrition and hydration and things that a lot of people take for granted. Like people skip the recovery part and they think that it's all about training. I actually put more effort into my recovery than into my training. So
Right.
that has helped a lot to stay very at peak performance. And also, I'll say that with what I do, there is obviously risk involved. So earlier this year, I was skydiving with the Red Bull team, and the world's champion, he was like, "Oh, let's do this thing." And then I skydived with them, dislocated my shoulder. That had a big toll. But hey, you recover from these things, makes it
Right.
stronger, and you learn from these things. So during the race across America, yes, I had a few bad crashes, but nothing that stopped me from finishing it. So it's all good.
How many people were on that race across America?
So you gotta qualify for that race. So not everybody gets to gets to compete in it. And then a lot of people that do this race, they do it on teams. So they basically have 4 people team, 8 people team. I did it solo.
Okay.
So there were maybe
Of course
around,
you did. Of
maybe
course.
yeah. I finished. There was a total of 10 people that finished it, or 12 people total.
This is Dr. Garth Fisher with The Cutting Edge, and I'm here with Alvaro Nunez, who's one of the world's greatest endurance athletes. I could say athletes because you are. He's built a global brand. We're going to talk about your businesses after this. I'm here with Alvaro Nunez, who is one of the world's greatest endurance athletes, adventurers, you might say daredevil, but he's built a global brand in business. Just a great, great guy. And just to bring this up, the great world race, 7 marathons, 7 continents in 7 days. I can't believe that anybody could ever do that. And you've done that. First thing I think is, man, maybe you should be looking at a Nike or Adidas. Somebody should be giving you a contract. I hope something that hasn't already. But what's one of the hardest moments during that journey, and how did you keep going? Tell me about that race. The logistics must be just wild.
Yeah, logistics are definitely quite tricky. In fact, we had to move some things around because weather in Antarctica is not always so predictable. So we have to be ready. We actually started in Cape Town, South Africa, where from there we will fly to Antarctica once they give us the green light. because that's where we will do our first marathon. It was Antarctica, then Africa, Australia, Asia, Europe, South America, and finishing in where I live in Miami, which US consider North America. Now, what I'll tell you for this race, it was one of those same examples that we were discussing earlier on when I did the Marathon des Sables in the Sahara Desert, is finding your why. And that's what gives you the strength and that power to keep on going. Because when you do this type of challenges, you're going to have to overcome a lot of obstacles. And it actually started even before the race started when I broke two of the ribs. And then just going into this race, starting in Antarctica, temperatures that were freezing. I was like literally unable to move without feeling like I was getting petrified. And then going straight into the plane before we had a whole, this bad weather coming in, and then going into Africa, doing the marathon with no sleep. And then like it was very, very tough on the body, the mind, the spirit. But when you have a strong why, you just keep going. And I was doing this campaign, Race for Unity, where I was actually collecting different words from around the world and people just coming together with positivity and to really just bring them through this incredible race, this incredible message that anything is possible once you have your mind into it and we work together for it.
So did you have a nutrition team with you providing you? I mean, how did you line the food up logistically?
Yeah, actually, it was great. We were having everything in the plane ready for whenever we were done with the marathon. And as soon as we were done, straight into the plane, eat, try to sleep or stretch, and then go straight into the next destination.
How many pairs of shoes did you go through?
It's a funny question because I actually use different shoes for different terrains, right? Because some of the landscapes, obviously Antarctica being all in ice and snow, and then going into Africa, which was a little bit different. And you gotta change different pair of shoes. So I had like four different ones, five different ones.
Well, I hope you have your own brand of shoes. This is a calling for you after all this.
Well, yeah, not yet, but it's a good idea.
Okay, so between the RAM, that's the cycling from California to New Jersey, right? Between that,
Hmm.
solo, Ultraman, and like I said, solo, you said there were teams, maybe three or four people, running around a meter race and handing the baton off, but you did it all the way
Yeah.
by yourself, which is par for the course for you. Between that and Ultraman and the Marathon des Sables, which is the one that's through the Sahara Desert, which pushed you closest to your breaking point?
Wow. Race Across America, the latest one, because this just happened recently. And I feel like when we go through something that is so difficult, but is so distant, we might not feel that pain anymore. So I know that when I did the Marathon des Sables, it was brutal. But now thinking into just what happened recently with Race Across America, I'm not a professional cyclist. I don't have any cycling background. I
You're a
actually have been
professional,
well, I haven't been cycling for more than 2, 3 years. So
right?
people that have been doing this race, they've been cycling. In fact, I asked one guy before the starting line, I said, "Hey, do you feel ready?" He's like, "Well, I've been cycling for 35 years every day, haven't missed one session." And that guy didn't even finish the race. So to my point, that race pushed me to the limit. And I remember it was on the second day. I could not even sit on the bike anymore. I was chafing so much down there. I started to just stand on the bike. I lost feeling on my feet, feeling on my hand. I still don't feel my hands and my feet fully, but it was one of those things that I started to break down. And it was after day 4, day 5, with only sleeping 1 hour per day and losing so many calories and just losing weight and everything. I started to fade. I passed out on the bike. I fell constantly and I almost got hit by a truck multiple times. So the team ultimately wanted to take me out of the race. And after day 6 or 7, I just couldn't stay up. It was just a battle, constant battle. But you know what kept me going? The promise that I did with my dad, because just a few weeks before the race, I found out that my dad had cancer.
Mm.
He was going through prostate cancer and he had to go into surgery right away. He's back in Spain, which is where I'm from. So I asked him, is like, when is the surgery taking place? And he's like, right around the same time that you're doing the race. So I told him that I will drop the race and be there for him. And he said, no, you're not dropping the race. You're actually going to finish what you start. And we made a promise to each other. If I didn't quit on the race, he wouldn't quit on his life. And we
Was
were checking on each other every day through the team. And man, that's what kept us going. But it was brutal and a beautiful a beautiful story.
Yeah, that is.
Especially, I'll tell you something, especially because you gotta complete this race in under 12 days. You got time stations that you gotta reach through a certain time. And I was always 30 minutes close to not making it. I actually made it in 11 days and 23 hours. So 1 hour before the official cutoff time. And at the finish line, it was my dad on FaceTime. So I got to see him and he got to see me crossing the finish line. It was very emotional.
Oh, I'm sure it was. And I know he's so proud of you. Anybody would be proud of you. Um, and that's a terrific story. Getting back to you're not a professional. I think if I was a professional cyclist, runner of any kind, and I saw your name on the docket or your name, I'd be like, oh, shit, this is going to be a tough. This is Dr. Garth Fisher with The Cutting Edge. I'm talking to Alvaro Nunez, who's one of the world's greatest endurance athletes, or athletes, period. He's built a big global brand, a global brand in his business. We're going to talk about that as well. And, the headliner is he ran 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents, which is, I couldn't even do that with a suitcase. Okay, so this is a big question. You balance elite athletic performance with business leadership. How do you structure your days to sustain both?
It's a great question. It's actually one of the most interesting questions I can get asked because you see a lot of professional athletes that's what they do for a living and that's all their focus. And then you see amazing entrepreneurs and business leaders that's what they do. But it's very difficult to find hybrids that get to do both at a high level. So I don't longer say balance. It's more about alignment. It's about how to stay committed and consistent to what you do. And one thing that has helped me clear the noise is having a strong purpose. When you have a strong why for what you do, you find the how. And one thing that it's interesting on how you correlate both worlds of endurance and business is patience.
Mhm.
Patience and consistency. A lot of people want to outperform. I want to outlast. It's about how can I last longer? How can I stay consistent? How can I be patient to keep on going when people stop? Because that's what we see. Everybody wants instant gratification. Everybody wants instant success. And when they don't achieve it, they jump into something else. I'm here for the long term,
Oh, yeah.
both worlds. And it's beautiful to see what you can accomplish when you stay consistent. Because as we said earlier on, consistency compounds.
Yeah, and it's endurance, this lasting capacity, which I know you've got, and you built that. And so we're going to get in a little bit later again with your business and how you, I'm sure, have migrated the philosophy that you have with endurance and sports and those kind of things, athletic endeavors to your businesses. I'm sure that'll be very helpful for the listener. So we talked about this earlier. I'm interested, physically preparing for something is one thing. You said recovering is also something that's very, very important. After all these events of this magnitude, how do you recover? Is it the ice bath, or what do you do? You have people that are massaging you. Tell me how you're recovering.
Yeah, recovery is key. I think it's more about active recovery. Motion is lotion. If you stop moving, it's going to take you a way longer time to get back on track. So I know those that after a big challenge or a big competition, they stop completely. I think that's a big mistake. Everybody can do what they want, but from experience, I think motion is lotion. So as long as I keep moving, as long as I keep doing the thing, I already built that habit. I already built that routine. So instead of 6, 7 hours training, maybe I do one. Maybe I do it at a lower intensity, but I keep doing the thing because that keeps the body moving. And then, yes, of course, I will do more active recovery when it comes to how can I do movement. And by that is stretching and maybe some active massages. Maybe I start doing the inflammation is key, right? So how do you reduce inflammation? Because all the body is currently like so inflamed from everything you've done. So ice bath, nutrition, anything that is rich on all the things that are antioxidants so that you can detoxify your body from all the things that you've been consuming. And I'll tell you, that's just from a body standpoint, but mentally is when it comes to the biggest recovery because you can physically recover as much as you want, but if you mentally are fatigued, you're never going to fully recover. And that happens a lot. My mind is what I need to focus on first and foremost. So spending time with those you love, staying a little bit away from all the lights, because every time you
Right.
finish something so big, everybody's like, oh, interviews, this and that. It's great for a moment, but then step aside, enjoy the time with those you love, maybe go for a little nature trip, quiet, recharging the soul,
Yeah.
and then go back into your routine.
Need downtime and be with loved ones, like you said, and escape or something. That'd probably be a great time to take a little trip to the Caribbean or Bahamas and lay on the beach or something. I know you enjoy your life too, and you're very, very, how can I say this? You are balanced, even though this doesn't seem that way. But
It's an extreme balance. You know, when you talked about the 7 marathons, 7 continents, 7 days, when I was done, I flew to do a 7 day darkness retreat. So I was on a cave for 7 days alone, a small cave that you couldn't see even your hand.
my God.
And that was, again, it's not people, I can call it balance, but it's the extreme balance because it's the opposite, right? But in the opposite of things is where you see this huge line where you find the most incredible things in here in the mind.
Um, so that place you went that you couldn't see, where was that exactly?
One of the only places here in the States is in Oregon.
Okay. That's a great place to get away. What's your philosophy on pain? I can't even imagine how you felt, and we've been hearing about how tough that was. How do you deal with pain? Disconnect,
Well,
or I know it's all mental for you because you're very strong inside, your mind.
pain is fuel. I
Okay.
feel like pain is the entry fee for self-discovery. I feel that a lot of people pull away from pain, and it is on the other side of pain where you really get to know what you're made of and what you're capable of doing. So every time that I start feeling pain, it's a good sign. It means that I'm actually pushing towards that next version of myself. And on the other side of pain is where I found an upgraded version of Álvaro. And the lessons in between are the things that made me more capable of facing any other challenge in life. So instead of looking as pain as your enemy, look it up as your friend.
That's so inspiring. And it reminds me of a friend of mine who had cancer and he was on chemotherapy and we weren't sure if he was going to make it through it, but he had radiation therapy and he had cancer, chemo. And I'd go see him and he just, he looked really bad and he said he was in pain. He couldn't even hardly talk. It was terrible.
Mm,
I'm so sorry you're in pain. He says, no, 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 no. I'm so glad I've got pain because I know the worse that I hurt, the more that my cancer is going to get killed. So I can't wait to hurt even worse tomorrow. He had the best attitude. And, many, many years later, he's doing great and he welcomed that pain. So I like that you use it for fuel. I think that's really inspirational to hear that. So moving to something else, you built a reputation as an ultra endurance entrepreneur as well. What lessons from sports directly translate into your business success?
so many, so many. And actually, it is so correlated, right? We were briefly talking about it earlier on, but I feel that when you're able to build that mindset that is based on endurance, where you know that things don't come quick, it comes from those that stay consistent, those that want to outlast the competition rather than outperform. Because I feel that many people quit or stop or plateau in many stages. And if you are here for the long term and you're consistent, then that will compound. And I know that for a fact. And I've seen it throughout everything I've done. I'm not the best at anything, but I'm the one that will stay the most consistent and that will work throughout whatever career I choose to do
Correct.
to be there for the longest. And that pays off.
Right. I agree with that 100%. And that's something that I personally agree with and practice. What is a super luxury group? Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's a great question. That was a name that it was given by my grandfather when I came from a really long trip, starting my first company, and I told him that I had this big vision going into the States, and I was trying to make it back because I came initially with a tennis scholarship and then I had to leave the country and I was traveling and I started this luxury villa rental company and building all these luxury
You're from
experiences.
Spain. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes. Yeah. And I was in Madrid with my grandfather and he told me, look, I have a feeling that this is going to be your future. And he got out of his jacket a napkin and he wrote Super Luxury Group. He told me, this is going to be the name of that company that you're talking about. Go to America and make your dreams a reality. I flew in the next day to Miami. I established the company. And when I called him back, he never picked up. He passed away. And it was the last conversation I've ever had with him. And that's why I take that to my heart. And now that company has evolved to one of the largest powerhouse in real estate and luxury lifestyle. We curate incredible experiences and events in multi-million dollar homes that we have for sale. We have one of the largest luxury real estate professional network, and we have done so many incredible activations, not just here in Miami, but all around the world. So we are very blessed and excited to see where we take it past this. And as you mentioned earlier on, everything that you do on a personal level, it also reflects on your business, and you become a magnet to start working with so many incredible people, right? From athletes, celebrities, high net worth individuals. And when you blend all this together, it just becomes so exciting. So ultimately, business is the vehicle to live the dream lifestyle that I've always had in mind.
Yes, I'm sure it's serving you well, and you're serving it well. So, luxury group, super luxury group, is bridging luxury lifestyle and storytelling. And how can people get access to this? How can they find this? What would be the best way for them to reach you through this, or what you provide?
Yeah, you can either go to our website, superluxurygroup.com, Super Luxury Group on any of the social media channels, Instagram, TikTok. And yeah, just reach out to us. We're always doing events, experiences, activations. We have some beautiful properties that we have for sale as well, new developments that we're involved as a marketing machine to create leads. And yeah, ultimately here to connect the dots for anybody that is in that space.
Okay. Um, what advice would you give to someone who's trying to merge passion, performance, and purpose into their life mission?
Wow, that's a great question. I think it's about not so much focusing on balancing it all. I've always been a big believer in extreme balance, right? Like, how can you create this concept of the wheel of life, look at all areas, balance them out, but also be extreme and level up in each one of them? But more recently, I've realized that it's more about that alignment.
Mhm.
Because if you keep on pulling on all these different areas and trying to grow on all those areas, eventually you're going to be really out of balance and juggling so many things. So it's about creating alignment. It's how can you connect everything in one line? And once you find that alignment, everything is going to flow much easier, and you're going to start attracting more things to you versus you trying to go for them. And then ultimately, that alignment comes from a position of purpose. Every morning, I ask myself why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it's okay if your why shifts a little bit, but just be clear about one thing. And that one thing is that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So make sure that you have that purpose, alignment, and stay and show up.
Focus and consistency. You're so inspirational, and you have so much that you do speaking engagements too, right? Because you have so much to offer, as far as a life coach, and you just have so much value. So, can people hire you?
Thank you for saying that. I actually do a lot of speaking engagements. I just did a TED Talk last weekend. And yeah, I mean, anybody that is interested to empower, whether it's their team or company or any conference that they are hosting, happy to speak. And then now, more recently, I've never really done the coaching on a full-time basis. Obviously, I want to do things that I can commit fully and have the time and energy for it. But I have been taking some one-on-one clients for certain periods of time. And now I've opened up the program of the inner circle. It's a small group of individuals that connect on a one-on-one with me. They're also part of this amazing group where we organize experiences, adventures, access to global events, access to the conferences that I'm part of, and really help them level up, not just in business, but in life.
That's really fantastic. This is really going to expand for you. I can see it, feel it. I know it's going to just grow and grow and grow. And you'll be successful at this because the way your attitude is and how you approach things. Um, you've been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur, and Man's Health. What does true influence mean to you in this world that's full of all kinds of chaos and noise?
And I couldn't agree more, Garth. Like that's the summary, right? It's a chaotic world right now, and I feel like everybody can call themselves an influencer these days. And to a certain extent, I wouldn't disagree. Like we all have certain influence on certain communities or people, but to truly influence somebody and to truly be somebody of influence is to not only yes, show people what is possible, but to show them what they're capable of doing by leading by example. So I do believe that we all have a responsibility of leading by example and really empower, not inspire, but empower others to take action and become their best version.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to lead by example and be a role model. And I think it's just the more people that you can touch. And I mean, I could see you in front of thousands of people, like Tony, our friend, does, who I'm friends with. But I could see you doing that, if you ever wanted to do that. But I know your luxury brand is really keeping you busy too. What's the most exciting thing that's going on with your luxury group, super luxury group, right now?
Well, it's an exciting time, especially being based here in Miami. Our Basel coming up, so we are in the middle of the big season, and a lot of people actually, with what is going on in New York and some other areas in the world, that are deciding to move here to South Florida. So what's keeping us busy is some new developments that we're involved in, some beautiful multi-million-dollar homes that we have for sale, that we're also creating some incredible experiences and events throughout the time of this high season. And I love to combine passions. That's my ultimate playground. So I'm also involved in a company where we have helipads in the water, where we are the only ones in the world right now, where we can actually land the helicopter in the water and then have it in front of the property. So basically creating a multiverse playground where we connect all the different things that I love, from wellness, speaking engagements, multi-million-dollar homes, flying helicopters, community building. And that's what really keeps it sexy, because I don't care so much about showing properties. It's about what can you do with real estate. Real estate as the foundation is amazing. And who doesn't like to be in a 40, $50 million home that has a nice setup? But if you can activate it with incredible people, luxury lifestyle, health, community, speaking engagements that inspire people, that's the ultimate goal. So that's what we're doing with Super Luxury Group. And it's going to be a fun season.
Yeah, it's about aggregating or integrating everything. It's about the personalities and the people and the relationships that you build, that you're building, from the guys that you're running and complaining about your knee hurting going 320 miles to people you're flying the helicopters, which, by the way, I start thinking about, well, while he's flying helicopters, he's running, he's doing this, he's all these marathons. You must have an interesting life insurance policy. Oh, God.
Oh, they don't like me too much, but yeah.
Yeah, you've got such a life. Let's see here. I was going to ask you something else. What's the biggest leadership challenge that you've faced, and what did it teach you about yourself?
Wow. The truth is that leading when you feel empty is probably what feels the hardest. Because doing all the things that you're doing and knowing that you have the responsibility that you have to still show up every day with that energy, with that confidence, with that integrity, because at the end of the day, it's not anymore about what you do, it's how you do it. And I can show up, but if I don't show up the way that I'm going to empower others, it's not going to have the same impact. But I sometimes have to look myself in the mirror in the morning and calibrate that energy. And that energy sometimes it becomes difficult to pull from. But when you have a clear purpose and you find something that is really activating you from inside out, then you can show up with that purpose. But I'll tell you, sometimes, especially after doing so many things, your mind shuts down. It's like, man, but it clicks right away. I'm telling you, right in front of people, when you see their faces, when you know that they're counting on you. It's like the story we were sharing earlier on about Marathon de Sables, when I was carrying that weight in the back and all the
Right.
struggles of all these people. You have a responsibility. A true leader, at the end of the day, it's paying the price for having to show up for all the people that count on them. So I have that responsibility in me, and I carry it with purpose. I carry it with pride, and I do my best every day to recharge and to be able to tackle that day for those out there that are counting on me.
Yep. I think, like you said too, the hardest time is when you're at your lowest point, or it's in the toughest, you're in the valley, and everybody finds himself
Yeah.
finds a dark valley with very little light shining in. And that's the time where you have to be a role model and be your most inspiring at the hardest moment. And, that's the toughest time to do it, but that's what leaders are. And that's why you're
Yeah.
doing so well. You're a leader. So, this is Dr. Garth Fisher. I'm here with Alvaro Nunez, who's one of the world's greatest endurance athletes and athletes, period. He has been running this has got to be the headliner for you, right, Alvaro? You know, 7 continents, 7 marathons, 7 days. I mean, that draws all your attention in, but then all the other stuff, super luxury group, and the lifestyle and the homes and bridging luxury lifestyle and storytelling. We are talking about a lot with you and merging your what you've learned in athleticism and what you've done with business and how it's helped you, which I can see how that carryover would be very well. You've experienced extremes of heat, cold, exhaustion, and triumph. What have these experiences taught you about the limits of the human mind?
Right there, that the limits are only the limits that we set up in our minds. We're capable of so much more, and we stop when the body feels tired. And the reality is that the body can keep on going forever as long as you're taking care of your mind. And that's one of the things that I found out in all these different challenges. The body was already broken. It's the mind what kept it going.
Yes, you're right. It's the way you said the mindset and visualizing is very, very important. That's what keeps you focused on your goal. And despite what your body says, your mind says, no, we're going. You better pick up, tie your shoelaces and keep going, right? It's your mind. It's the strength of your mind.
And I'll take it farther. The mind will follow where the why leads. So if you have a why, you're going to go even farther than
Right.
just what you think the mind can do.
Yeah. That's beautiful. It just can be applied to so many different things in life, you know, whether it's business or even relationships or
Absolutely.
business, it's everything. And no, I think that's very, very inspiring. And one of the reasons you need to get in front of groups of people to help all of them
Mm.
achieve their goals. Do you think every human has a version of this ultra within them? Is this something extraordinary waiting to be unlocked for everybody? Or what have you found in your travels or in your thoughts?
Totally. Nothing special, really. Like when I look back at who
Special.
I've been, no, seriously, like when I look back at who Alvaro has been over all these years, nobody's special. Just a guy that really shows up every day and decides to work hard, decides to keep on going. And I take breaks like everyone, but I keep on going, right? I try to stay focused and disciplined. And I think that focus, discipline, hard work, everybody can have it in them. I don't have any born talent that it was hidden and all of a sudden came out. No, it was just deciding to want to become a better version of myself. And everybody can have that in them. So, ultra, or the term ultra, like you're saying, is not so much about endurance and running all these races and doing all these challenges or doing all these crazy things. It's about the depth of
Mhm.
how deep you want to go within yourself to find that ultimate version. And that is not something that you find once and that's it. It's something that you keep on developing every day.
Did you have any mentors or have you mentored other people? I'm sure you have, but just curious who those people were, not naming names, but
Yeah, of course. I think that we nowadays have access to so many. We will use the word leaders, right? Or leaders, or mentors, or coaches at our fingertips. It's not that you gotta invest thousands of dollars to get a mentor, but you can start by going to YouTube, watch some videos, download some audiobooks, listen to some podcasts, tune in into some amazing shows like yours, where you'll listen to incredible people and get inspired and write some notes, but then apply them, right? Because knowledge without action doesn't mean anything. So I do believe that everybody can have that. I definitely tapped into that growing up. I didn't have just one mentor or one person that showed me the way. No, it's just that I was hungry. I was curious. Curiosity is a great word. And I do believe that when you have curiosity and when you have that hunger to want to become better, you got to put it towards action. And action for me was starting to consume knowledge, trying to apply that into something that I was doing. Doesn't mean that it was going to be the path, but it was going to be something that eventually will guide me. And everybody has that in them. So start learning from people out there that you want to do something similar to. And then you'll have different role models, right? I don't call them mentors, I call them role models. And then, yes, eventually, if you can invest in somebody, then do it, right? That's going to be a time machine for yourself. So I personally, when I reached a point where I was getting people asking me if I could coach or mentor them, I never coached nobody in the past. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a responsibility. And I started to say yes to a few people. And it was so gratificant to just see
sure.
the impact that you can have on some people's lives. I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Like I can sell a house for $22 million and it's amazing. And yeah, I make money and the guy is happy. But the impact that you can have by changing someone's life when you mentor that person to really help that person accomplish their dreams, wow, it's incredible. So I feel like it's all our responsibility. And you see that with a lot of people these days that accomplish massive success. What's the next step? To pass on that knowledge, right?
Yes,
So
it's so
it's a full
gratifying.
circle of life.
Yeah, and there's so much. So the feeling is so amazing when you can pass things on to other human beings, like you're talking about. That's one of the best parts of everything. You're so self-motivated. You're so disciplined. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have two older brothers, an older sister, and a younger one.
Oh, wow, it's a big family. Is anyone
Yeah.
got this mindset like you? Any daredevils in the group, or did you take all the genes for that?
Well, you'll laugh, but my parents thought I was gonna be the most disciplined, calm, and down to earth, easygoing guy. I never did anything crazy. I was a tennis player and a student. That's all I did. Nothing. That was my life. Tennis and studying. And my oldest brother, he was a driver. He did Formula 3, Formula 2. He even tested on Formula 1. Like he did all these different crazy races. My oldest brother, he was a climber. So he was going on to all these mountains. And then everybody was doing something crazy. And I was like the calm one until until eventually I was not. So now everybody calmed down. Everybody's married, three, four kids each. And I'm one of the youngest and no kids, no married yet. And I guess I took all the craziness from everybody and I just put it into action.
Well, it's interesting. I bet there's somewhere in your family tree, your father, grandfather, grandmother, somebody had to be, doing this kind of stuff too. It had to come through some in those genes.
I have no idea because I have not heard any stories from anybody in my family that did that
Oh,
in the
wow.
past. So, yeah, interesting.
This is Dr. Garth Fisher with the Cutting Edge. I'm here speaking with Alvaro Nunez, who's one of the world's greatest athletes, endurance especially. He's run 7 marathons on 7 different continents in 7 days. I can't even say that sentence without wondering how anybody could do that. But anyway, he's also an entrepreneur, very successful in business. All of his attributes and the way he goes about living is translated very, very well in business. He's a public speaker. You can go to alvaronunez.com/speaker, superluxurygroup.com, Instagram.com is superluxurygroup, I believe. And such an inspiring conversation we're having. How do you define success today, and has that definition evolved over time for you?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, everybody has a different definition of success, and it changes over time for
I'm
sure.
sure it's
Like,
getting to the end of this race and getting these shoes off is one success, but
oh my God, for sure. Also the success for you as a kid is different than what it is today, right? But I do now define success with the three P's: is peace, purpose, and progress. In that order, by the way. Like I love to have first and foremost peace in life, then focus on that purpose, and then progression, because progress is what really gets you going.
you want to be stale.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a really great description. So, what do you want to leave as far as your legacy? What do you want to leave both in the world of business and endurance? What would you like them to say about Alvaro Nunez?
Mm. Well, that I set out an example on how it's possible to become the CEO and the superhuman of your own life, right?
That's it.
And ultimately, it's clear. It's not like the analogy of like Superman with Clark Kent, but like kind of like that. You can be the CEO and the superhuman of your own life. So by doing what I'm doing, to open the mind of others to realize that they can accomplish that as well and empower them to become their best version.
Yeah, you have to be, and I know you're very, very visible as it is, but I just hope everybody can read your story and hear you speak and learn what drives you, and because it really inspires other people to be the best they can, and no matter what they do. And I know my father when I was growing up, I just remember him yelling at me like, "If you're not going to do something the best you can do it, don't try it at all. Just stay away." And so I was always pushed, probably an overachiever type, but I certainly can't run. I play tennis, and now I'm playing pickleball. That's what we do these days. But
Oh no, no, no! Just focus. Keep on tennis at least.
yeah. So, if you could summarize your life's philosophy in one sentence, what would it be? And this, maybe it's a hard thing to do. I like
Oof.
what you talked about
Um,
your legacy and the peace and the purpose and the
Hmm. Well, I mean, since we've been talking a lot about your why, I think that it was about finding your why. Because once you find your why, the how will follow. And I feel that with people, it's not so much about finding your why, it's about finding a why that sets you free. And then using that to find the how to accomplish all your goals.
So give the listeners an example of a why and a how. Let's say in something that you've done or something you're going to do, what is your why? And then explain that like in your brain, how your steps are for why and how.
Yes, the first time I had that strong why that really struck out on how important that was when I signed up for the world's toughest foot race, Marathon des Sables, 6 marathons, 6 days across the Sahara Desert. And not only I was carrying my food and supplies, but also because of the campaign that I was doing, the weight of depression,
Right.
I was carrying a weight in my back. And that weight represented the struggles that so many people have been carrying inside. So in the middle of that race, without prior experience, I was going to quit. And I'm telling you, being in the Sahara Desert, 130 Fahrenheit, sandstorms, climbing sand dunes, dehydrated, peeing blood, fully blistered, I was wrecked. And at that moment, everything said you cannot continue. And he was having that why of having something that was bigger than yourself. All these people counting on you to carry all those struggles across the Sahara Desert to then bury that weight in the sand. And it was in that moment when I realized that humans are not so human anymore. Like we're capable of so much more when we attach a strong why. So I'm not defining the why and the how. I'm really saying,
Everybody has
and
to define their own why. And
well,
from
but I'll take it farther, Garth. Like it's not so much about the why and the how. It's just to find the why. The how will follow. The how will happen just automatically once you have a strong why.
That's right, and I think everybody needs to learn from that. This is Dr. Garth Fisher with The Cutting Edge. I'm here with Alvaro Nunez. We've had the most amazing conversation. He's one of the world's greatest endurance athletes, very successful in business with a super luxury group. And if you missed this on the radio station, you can find me at Garth Fisher MD Cutting Edge. That's on Instagram, YouTube, and our podcast. And I want to thank our producers. First of all, I want to thank Cal and Mike, who are the producers at KCBS, Audacity, who is the one that gives us the ability to have this radio show. And I want to thank the Cutting Edge team that's here with us, and especially the listeners who are listening to this. And it's been a really fabulous interview with you. So inspiring. I hope people are touched by this and they find the why and the how and the purpose and the peace and everything that you described. Because it's right on. It's such great having you, Alvaro. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Garth, and congratulations on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.